Welcome to the Sk8LikeYou podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Mark, Sk8LikeYou podcast. I am here with Jeff Groban. He is live actually from the Skatin Place, Abilene, Texas. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for reaching out. I've been really excited to do this, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking. So yeah, it's been great watching all the other podcasts.
So the one thing I have to ask, because I didn't ask you this yet, but like I don't. Are you like already subscribed to the Philly Inquirer or something?
No.
Because man, I was telling somebody, you like got that plaque thing to Ray so fast.
Yeah.
After that article dropped, how did you manage to do that so quickly?
Well, that's pretty funny. I was actually on the golf course golfing.
Okay.
And I think Ray posted that picture of the newspaper article on Facebook. And I looked at it and I said, that is exactly what we like to do when we have newspaper articles or magazine articles. So I literally took a picture of it and called the New York, who we do business with, called That's News, That Great News. And I said, hey, can you look this up and see if you can find the article? And she texted me back and said, yeah, it's this, and showed me the picture. I said, can you make me one of those? Actually make me two of them, because I wanted to send one to Ray, because I knew Ray would really appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, keep going.
It's just so cool to see that. And I knew he would enjoy it, because we love having them on our wall where everybody can kind of see things that have been going on at your place. And I knew Ray would really enjoy that. So
yeah, no, it was
too. So
it was so thoughtful. I just was like, oh my God, like that was so fast. Like,
yeah.
And it's so funny that you mention it, because I swear now, on my website, I got something from, what did you say it was? The name of the company?
News.
I swear, like, and I guess I assume I was just getting spammed or something, but maybe they probably, because the article had the website,
Probably.
and they hit me up. So okay, so that's good to know that it's actually something that's worth checking out. So
Yeah.
for those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about here, recently, a few months back, actually, the Philadelphia Inquirer came to the Skateplex to do like a story on just adult skating and the skate culture in Philadelphia. And we knew about it, like they were coming like on our Wednesday night, which is like the OG Skate Crew adult night. That's where we all get together at least once a week. And I never anticipated what it was going to be. Like I thought they were coming to talk to the management and the owners. You know what I mean? And then like,
Right.
yeah, next thing you know, I'm like in the parking lot, and even that, like talking to them, but even that I didn't think was going to result in what it resulted in, you know, which was just amazing. So, but just so you guys know, so there was this article that was done and a social media video that was done. They did an excellent job with it too. I really think. But Jeff very kindly took it upon himself to make a plaque of the article itself and send it to Ray, Big Daddy Ray, and but the turnaround was so fast on it. It was like the article dropped and then Ray's got this thing and that came. So I just thought it was a really cool gesture. I know he appreciated it. We all did. So thank you very much.
Well, I saw it, and I called the girl and I said, send his out first, and then send me one whenever you get done. And literally, the end of that day, she sent his out. And I messaged him and said, hey, Ray, I got something coming your way, probably 10 to 14 days, something. That's what I thought it might take. And literally, I guess it was 4 or 5 days later, he got it. So, and he messaged me and thanked me, and he was real appreciative. So I do stuff like that, man.
That's awesome. Well, to be honest with you, it shouldn't be so surprising, because so the other thing for everybody listening and watching, a lot of you guys probably know Jeff, and a lot of you guys like me don't really know Jeff. But here's what I will say is that everyone I've talked to, everyone that threw your name at me to have you on the podcast, and anyone that I've ever had any conversation with that has ever brought you up, the common theme that everyone always says to me is Jeff Groban legitimately cares about skating. He cares about skate. Actually, they say he cares about the skaters.
Yeah.
And that this is why they're so enthusiastic about your event that happens, in Abilene. That that people feel like we go to Abilene and as skaters, and we feel like that we have this rink owner out here that literally is in this for skaters. So it really, honestly, shouldn't come as a big shock that or a surprise that that you had thought of Ray and Philadelphia like that to do that. So yeah, so this is going to be like just as much of an experience for me, like getting to know you and everything that I've heard, which I really like. This one of the things we were talking about before we even started recording was this is just one of the best parts of doing this for me. So now you're out in Abilene, the Skatin Place. Now, how long have you owned the Skatin Place?
So we are in it for 28 years right now.
Wow.
We started
Okay.
in March of '96.
Now,
And
was the Skatin Place a place before, or did you ground up?
well, what's crazy is I moved here in 1979 from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
And I moved here with a family that used to come skating at one of the skating rinks I skated at in Fort Lauderdale, the Davis family. Well, they had a friend who lived in Abilene, and there was another skating rink on the other side of town on the north side. And the family, they wanted to come check it out. So we came out here in like March of '79 and to look at that rink. And they said, hey, you want to come and look at it and maybe become manager? I was 21 at the time, I think. And
Wow.
so that's how I ended up here. They bought that rink. I came out here with that family, lived with them for a while, and managed the rink for a while. And then a year and a half later, he built the rink that we have now.
Okay.
We're actually in the corner of a shopping center. And
Oh.
so he built this. And a year later, some bad, unfortunate circumstances happened where he had to shut it down. And it sat empty for a long time. The other skate rink stayed open for a little while longer, and they ended up having to move back to Florida. And so this place sat empty for quite a long time. And the family that we bought that the first skating rink from, was Mr. and Mrs. Baker. They were 82 and 83 years old. And they came back and opened this skating rink up for their daughter and son-in-law.
Okay.
And so it was open for a little while. I was bringing my kids. I was coming to skate still here and there. And they were just kind of old. And the Bakers and their son-in-law got in a big old fight. And
Mm.
he booted them out. And then there they were, 82 and 83-year-olds trying to run this skating rink.
Wow.
And they ended up, and we had been bugging them for 6 months to sell it to us. And finally, we talked them into selling it to us, and we got it. And it's been a crazy ride since, Mark. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to hear all about it. There's so many questions I want to ask
Yeah,
about that rink, that the event. I do want to back up a little bit first. So the one thing I ask everybody is, do you happen to remember the first time you ever put on skates?
absolutely.
Okay, tell me
So
about it.
this is when I lived in Atlanta. We lived in Atlanta before we moved to Fort Lauderdale. My dad was a furniture salesman, so we lived in Atlanta. And I was 16 at the time, so this is 50 years ago.
Okay.
And they opened up a brand new rink called Golden Glide. And I'm sure a bunch of other people have heard about that. That was one of the original rinks. And my friend goes, hey, you want to go skating? I had never roller skated in my life. And I was born and raised in Cincinnati, so I learned how to ice skate. That's what you did
Okay.
in Cincinnati. You ice skated. There wasn't any roller skates or rinks around. But we
Yep.
lived right outside of a golf course, and when the pond froze over, we'd go outside, skate, jump the fence, and skate on that pond. And then down the road, they had the old Cincinnati Gardens. That's where I learned how to ice skate. Uh,
Okay.
I would go to Friday night and Saturday night sessions over there, ice skating like roller skating now. So When I was 16, I went to the place called Golden Glide. Never skated in my life. We went on a Friday night when it opened up, the day it opened, and walked in, and I'm going, man, this is just so cool. And I saw these floor guards out there in the striped shirts, and I still remember their names. One of them was Dominic, and one of them was Tony. And they were
Okay.
out there doing tricks and doing this thing, and I just went, oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Couldn't skate for nothing. It was a little bit different. I fell a bunch, but I was so in love with it right away that I said, I'm coming here all the time. Played high school basketball. On Friday nights when we got back from basketball, all my other friends would go out and do their thing, and I went to the skating rink.
Mm.
Saturday, Sunday, every weekend. And that's where I learned how to skate, and that's why my love started gaining for it when I was 16 years old.
So that was your first home rink.
First home rink, Golden Glide.
Yeah. And how many years would you did you skate there as your home rink?
I would say probably, I think 3 more years, and then we moved down to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. So I want to ask you something, because I kind of have this theory as a complete novice and uninformed opinionated person. Okay. But because you are a rink owner, an experienced rink owner for a long, long time, and I'm listening to you talk about your first experience as a skater. One of the things I was just talking about with a couple people I just had on, Justin Ziegler, his episode is going to be coming out pretty soon. He skates here in like the Central PA area, and we were talking about just the different approaches to rink owners, or that rink owners take to owning a rink and their operation. Some of this came from, I was just having a conversation with Jim at Neville Rollerdrome. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me, that one of the challenges for them is they don't have like a shuffle crowd anymore, right? Now that rink I think opened in like, it's been like 70 something years. And I know that they did have that culture at one point, but it kind of phased out. But the reason I'm asking you this is because, and I want to get your opinion on it, is that we're talking about this stuff, and we talked about DJs and music and the environment for skaters, and listening to you talk about your first experience watching skaters, right? As a novice, someone that just puts on skates, and you being attracted to what you saw, right? Like, I want to do that kind of thing, right? Which is exactly how I was ushered into it from an older brother and older sister, but even then it was like, I want to skate like my brother kind of thing. Right. So here's where I'm going with this. So my kind of idea is that I really feel like, and of course I have a complete bias, but that the best approach for a rink is to always cater to their skaters, to their actual skaters. I almost, to the point where I almost feel like the skaters are like half of the entertainment for the other people that come, right? Like not like the regular skate crew, the regular skaters that come. Almost, look, you've skated for a while. We've all been in that situation where we're skating maybe in a shuffle line, whatever, and you have these people that don't skate like regularly, right? And they're all just watching, right? And I feel like when rinks cater to the skaters and bring them there, it almost can build in this culture that will always have it set up to always bring in the next batch of regular skaters, right? People that show up like you did that day, just randomly, and we're like, I want to do that too, and then they become that, right? Does that make any sense? So, and when I say cater to skaters, I mean like the music and the vibe and everything, because I also know that people that don't really skate, it's just like their random thing, they skate to anything, right? They'll skate to whatever, they don't care, right? They're just out there trying not to fall. So if you cater to these people, these regular crews, like, it's always going to have a thing set up. And also that, where in like what I was talking with Jim about was that somewhere there was a generation gap or a loss of that shuffle culture, that regular skate crowd that got lost. And now they don't really have it, right? And they're constantly trying to bring it back. Does this make any sense to you? Can you give me your insight on this at all?
Well, yeah, let me back up a little bit. So when I moved to Fort Lauderdale, that's really where I learned how to shuffle.
Okay.
There were, I'm going to say, a skating rink within every 5 miles.
Right. Yeah.
There were 30 of them within an hour. So that's where I learned how to shuffle. And then we learned about a skating rink down in Miami called Tropical North.
Okay.
So all of us who were pretty good skaters, and this took a couple of years, we would drive down on Saturday night to Tropical North because they would only let good shuffle skaters in from
Okay.
11 to 1:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So we would make the trip every Saturday night to go down there. And this was nothing but, it's kind of like what you see in Atlanta now. All good skaters, all hauling butt. I would go down there every Saturday night and go through 3 shirts and never come off the floor. When I was like 20 years old. And it
It's
was
so me.
amazing. And that's where I learned how to shuffle.
Okay.
Everybody was doing it. And it's kind of like the shuffling now. When I first started at my rink, I still loved to shuffle, but I couldn't get anybody around here to shuffle because nobody did around here.
Right.
So I kept skating, and people would see me out there skating going, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Can you teach me?" And I'd try to help people do that. And so for the first, for the first 5 years, we had no shufflers,
Mm.
0. And then we started doing some adult night. I tried to do some. This is 25 years ago. We tried to do some adult nights. We did some soul nights, and we had pretty good, but still nobody could skate. They just came to come skate, be with their friends.
Right.
We didn't have any really good shuffle skaters, so that aggravated me because I couldn't get anybody to really learn how to shuffle.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's why I started trying to, here 5 years ago when I went to Atlanta to skate Jeff's first shuffle skate. I was so excited because I said, this is a shuffle skate. There's going to be other shufflers there. And when I got there and I saw everybody could still skate, and I was, way older now, and I was still in my 60s, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I was just so in love because, oh my gosh, there's all these good skaters again. Because the only time we ever saw good skaters, if I would go up to Dallas or Fort Worth or down to Austin, which are both about 3.5 hours away from us, 3 hours away from us. I would go there sometimes, visit other rinks and things like that. So it's one of the things that I had a hard time with because I loved it so much and I wanted other people to love it so much, but it wasn't the culture here.
Right.
We were the only rink in town for a while, so people came here just to skate and hang out with their friends.
Right.
And when we first opened up the rink, I was in shock. We were skating 400 and 500 on Friday nights. It was the craziest thing ever. Yeah, just because there wasn't anything else to do in this town.
Right.
Since then, we've got a trampoline park. We've got a place called Prime Time, which is like a Dave and Buster's, sort of really, really nice. So we've got other things to compete with. But we still have the skaters who still like just to come skating. So, and we're not the FEC Family Entertainment Center like some of the skating rinks are now. We're just a skating rink with some games, a nice wood floor, and a snack bar. And that's what we lived on for 28 years. So
I tell you what. So when I was talking to Jim and Neville, it was like we read each other's mail because, we were just talking about, he was just talking about how, some things that he's tried to kind of bring back the shuffle crowd or whatever. And I kind of just jokingly, I said, well, just don't ever like cut off a quarter of your floor to put a jungle gym in. And he goes, man, he's like, he's like, you don't even realize how many people have said that to me. I will never do it. He's like, we're a skating rink. That's what we're doing here, Well, and I don't judge anyone for doing it, but
we did it. We did it. We actually, before air castles were big, we bought an air castle and we put it to the rink and took off part of the floor.
Yeah.
Kind of like they do over at West Palm Beach. Anyway, and we did that for about a year and we said, forget this. This is a pain in the butt. And we made enough money to pay it off at like 6 months and all that, but it was such a pain we had to have an employee down there. we had to have kids walk down the side to go do it, buy their tickets up front. And
Yeah.
finally, after years, said, I'm done. I'm over this already. So we sold it to a guy in Big Spring at the YMCA. So I said, never again will I take off any of our skating rink floor for anything.
Yeah, and then look, I don't like. I'm not hating on anybody that does it, and I understand people, like, and geographically too. A lot of that determines, how you have to adapt your business and change your business and all that. And I get that. It's just like when I see, especially like an older rink like that, and I see them just across the corner floor. It's like, oh my god, it's the worst feeling ever. But okay, so you are at. I'm sorry, was it Golden
Glide?
Golden Glide, okay. And you're skating there for like 3 years, and then you moved to Georgia?
To Fort Lauderdale. That was in
Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Okay, Georgia was Golden Rule.
That was
you
Golden.
were in Ohio before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, were you a hockey player in Ohio?
Was. But I didn't start playing hockey till I moved to Florida.
Okay.
So the rink that we had there, we shuffled, and they had a hockey team. So I started playing hockey, stick hockey, with some of those famous brothers that ever played hockey, the Rabel brothers down in Fort Lauderdale. They were huge around. They used to go to all these tournaments and stuff like that. And so I really love that. I mean, I really enjoyed that. And that's why everybody down there wore hockey skates. Literally, everybody, when I first got skates, they were hockey skates, because that's what everybody wore down there.
So I wonder, I've been, every once in a while, like when I talk to somebody, especially someone that's been around for a while in the skate world, I always ask them about this, because I'm so looking for somebody that has had this experience. So like when the rink I grew up in, very much similar to what you're talking about, actually, with the Skatin Place, there was never like an established shuffle crowd. It was a very, like, not the same in the sense where ours was like a little podunk spot. You know what I mean? Like yours is state of the art compared to what we, but like, but there, the guy that owned it became basically like, family to us. He literally employed both my brother, my sister, myself.
Yeah.
But he knew a guy that owned a rink way up Maine called Livermore Falls. Mm-hmm. And that guy coached a roller hockey team, but international rule roller hockey. Mm-hmm. Like, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with or not, but it's played on quads. They have the curved stick.
Yeah.
And the ball. Do you know what I'm? Okay.
We did.
Do you know anyone that does this? Has any background?
No. No, because that's what we did. We played with the short, kind of like about a third of what the regular sticks are, with a little ball, and that's what we played with. And we went down and played tournaments all over Fort Lauderdale. We went to Miami and a couple other places here and there, but we have an outdoor rink here now. It's at a park, and they play regular hockey, like stick hockey.
Right.
And like regular stick with a puck, and it's outdoor and all that kind of stuff. So, but I haven't seen any of the stick hockey that we used to play. I don't think anybody does it anymore.
No, I mean, and the thing is that even though at that point I was like 13, and the Bob was the guy that owned our rink, and he talked to this other guy he knew that coached the Maine Bulldogs, and he was like, look, I know all your players are like 15, 16, 17, but I'm telling you got to come check out this kid. He played ice hockey. He can skate. You got to come check him out. So I ended up getting a tryout with him, and I got to travel up and down the East Coast playing for the Maine Bulldogs, playing roller hockey for a couple of years. And then it just kind of faded away. But like, I'm so intrigued. I know, like, outside of the country, like internationally, there's still a culture for it. And I'm dying to meet somebody that is like somewhat involved with it still, or knows something, because it's so, and the thing is, I think it's an amazing, like, it's no joke of a sport. Like when you play it officially, that ball, it's a bowling ball. And those guys like swing like their slap shots are basically like line drives.
Yeah.
You're wearing half the padding as and I played ice hockey. Yeah. And so but I'm like, I got to check you off the list too.
were wearing like baseball shin guards,
Yes.
the whole thing all the way down. And then sometimes some of us will wear chest protectors like
Yep.
baseball and all the other pads and all that because that ball hurt, especially if you had a big guy slapping a slap shot and you get in front. Now, I obviously don't know how the ice hockey guys feel because that looks like it hurts, but it hurt back when we played. Like I said, I was in my early 20s back then, and it was a great sport, man. I'm telling you. So
I'm
much.
telling you that I've taken every kind of hit that I could take
Oh
on
yeah.
and I've taken every kind of hit I could take on quads playing roller hockey. And let me tell you, I mean, I remember the first time I traveled with them. I had practiced with them a few times. We go to Delaware, and I'm watching these kids. It was like, and I was the smallest, the youngest on my team. And then we go and see these kids where I'm like, this is PEDs. These guys are on performance enhancing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or something. These guys were huge. And I saw this one kid, like, basically, like, from the 3/4 of the floor, just standing position, flipped the ball up and just baseball crack this thing,
Mm-hmm.
line drive it the length of the floor and ring it around this post. And I was like, oh my, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Right? But I mean, I did well and it was fun. But anyway, I'm going to move off of that. I just so intrigued to find someone else that knows about that. Okay. So you head to Fort Lauderdale. Now, is it like, when you go to Fort Lauderdale, do you know of skating in there? Are you plugged in at all, or do you have to go kind of find it again?
Well, the rink when I went to, it was a kind of like they'd already had a little shuffle deal going on, and I had already been working on that stuff in Atlanta until we moved there, so I knew how to shuffle. But I was the only one with hockey skates.
Okay.
Everybody, I was one of the first people to get hockey skates. I wanted to play hockey. So then everybody followed everybody. Everybody started getting hockey skates, and so that's how they shuffled in hockey skates. Even though I played hockey, but that's the only skates we wore. But it was kind of like the same thing when I was in Georgia when I first learned. I just kind of fell in with the crowd, started meeting people, started going every Friday and Saturday night. Loved it, couldn't wait. Um, the funniest thing is like when I first started going there, is I'd have my dad or whoever stepmom who took me drop me off at the gas station next door so nobody would see me get dropped. Like everybody still does that today even our rink. They drop.
Don't embarrass me, Mom. Yeah.
Craziest thing ever. But so I just fell right in Fort Lauderdale, and there were adult night at Davie. They have a skating rink in Davie, and another one down here. So I would try to hit up as many as I could, and just keep it going. And you know, there for a few years, and that's all I did was skate. I
Yeah.
graduated high school. I pumped gas during the day, and I skated at night. That's
Okay. So
all I
that
did.
kind of answers and leads me to my next question here, because you had mentioned before that you are approached um, about managing a rink at the age of 21. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So you graduate high school and you're skating and you said you're pumping gas, like that's what you're doing at the time.
I've been on my own
And
since I've been 18, so yeah.
okay. So like, are you like, is it in your head that you're kind of waiting for an opportunity to get in the skate thing, or is it just you're just not sure yet, like a lot of young people, or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't even a thought. I mean, I was just happy what I was doing. As
Right.
long as I could skate, I was happy. You
Okay.
know, I'd work during the day all day till it was time to and I lived on my own, so I didn't have hardly any money. And I tell the story to a lot of people that I would go to McDonald's and eat sometimes twice a day because I'd get 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a Coke for $1.99.
Good luck today.
But I would do that so I could have enough money to go skating and to go all the places, go to Miami every Saturday night, have enough. We'd always go to Subway after going to Miami. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I started. And then all of a sudden, this family who I knew said, "Hey, we're getting ready to go to Texas and we're thinking about buying a rink. There's a rink there for sale." And that's kind of how I got into it as far as that, moving here when I was 21.
And when you're approached, what you're saying is when you're approached, the idea of even ever doing anything like that is not on your radar. You're not
Right,
thinking about it.
right.
What do you think? Why do you think that that these people were? What about you, or what prompted that for them to come to you? What do you think it was?
Well, they had two daughters, 11 and 13, Tiffany and Christy, and I mean, I was one of the better skaters out over there, and I always took time to help them, the girls, and I ended up meeting the family, and they were just the nicest people, you know. So I would see them; they were there every weekend, and the mom and dad skated, and the girls skated, and I would go help them, and the girls just thought I was the coolest thing in the world because I was a good skater, and I would stop and help them and kind of show them and whatever they needed, you know. And that's kind of how we met. And you know, I'd see him every weekend and go talk to him and yada yada yada. And I guess they would see how I interacted with everybody. And I had a good, you know, I followed a bunch of people. I had a bunch of people following me around there. And I think that's kind of how that, you know, they saw my passion for it.
Yeah,
I mean, and go, dude, I was totally shocked. It was on a Saturday night when they asked me. I go,
yeah.
would you be
I'm
interested?
imagining so, and I'm wondering too. Is there any apprehension for you at that? Are you?
Well, really not, because I was going, what? Move to Texas and run a
Right?
skating rink?
You're
Oh,
21. You're 21.
yeah. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I go, when are we leaving? You know,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
I mean, really, all I had there was skating. I mean, I didn't get a chance to go to college. I couldn't go to college. I worked at a gas station all day, every day, and skated at night. So I didn't really have anything there. And they said, "Hey, would you like to, you know, go out there with us and check out this place?" I go, "Sure." So they took me out there with them. We drove, and well, that was crazy. And
Mm,
got there and saw this rink, and it was a little old and run down because the people that owned it were that older couple that had it, and they were just ready to get out.
yeah.
So you know, we were there for a day or two, drove back, and I don't know, probably 5 or 6 months later, they go, "We're buying that rink. You want to come with us and be the manager?" And I went, "Heck yeah, for sure." So I came here, 21, 22 years old, didn't know nothing about nothing but skating.
Yeah.
The rest is history. And believe me, I struggled when I first got here because I had a girlfriend there. It was a total thing. I didn't have anybody to lean back on except for them. They took really good care of me. I got to live with them for a while until I could afford to, you know, get
Wow.
out. And it was very very eye opening to me about running a rink. You know, the thing about it was I kind of brought my style down here to Texas.
Uh huh.
Nobody, like us, nobody knew how to skate.
Yeah.
And here comes this, you know, 22-year-old with a big old afro uh, coming in here and skating around. And they're all going, "Man, who is this
So
dude?"
you're like Disco Groban at this point.
Disco.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I got a picture on my phone still with me and Christy and Tiffany when we were at the skating rink. And I've got literally orange bell bottoms on and
Yeah.
crazy shirt, and my hair was about out to here. It was pretty funny. I still show that picture to everybody. So,
So I gotta add, because I wonder about this, is that, even in my own experience where, someone takes a chance on you with whatever it is or whatever. But like, I know, like, I've been in positions before in my life where I kind of wondered, like, man, when are they going to figure out I don't know what I'm doing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because it's a lot. Like, I mean, look,
right.
it's one thing to be like, like a armchair quarterback or whatever, be a skater at a rink and be like, oh, you know what this place needs, and and everyone's got their opinions that are not backed by any practical experience, real experience, right? Because like anyone knows that's ever gone from like any position, whether it's literally just uh, uh, an attendee of a particular business, or maybe someone that's not maybe on the higher managerial side of a business or whatever. that we all kind of have our ideas about, what should be and what shouldn't be. And then we get into, that position where we actually can make some of these decisions, and we start to see the other side of the coin where we're like, this is not as clear cut and dry as I thought, right? There's a whole nother world to this that I never considered. Like, what were some of those things for you? What were the biggest surprises, I guess, for you?
Well, the one thing too is the family I moved here with. Dad's name was Buddy. Well, he worked for an electric company, so he didn't know anything about skating either. So
Okay.
we came in together and just goes, I said, I could run a skate rink, no problem.
Right.
I know how to skate. I know what everybody wants, So we really both went in it blindly, but they put their life savings up to move out here and to buy this rink, and that's what they wanted to do, So we kind of came in together, and it was a rough first year because we were packed because we were the only thing in town all the time. So we both learned on the go.
Yeah.
You
You didn't
know
have a
what we need
choice.
to do, what we need, and I was always up there every day cleaning, doing something, booking parties, whatever. And it was kind of rough. And I actually worked in for about another year, and we split ways. So we just had a big disagreement on a lot of things. Like I said, we kind of grew in it together and did it a couple of years, kind of went our separate ways. And in the meantime, he had already built this one that I own. So he had both of them going. And like I said, there was a very unfortunate incident that happened up here, and that's why this place closed down. And he still had that one, and they ended up staying about another 6 months, and then they moved back to Florida. So there was no skating rink going at the time. After all this was after a couple of years, and I got married, had a child, and so this was all new for me. So then after that, there was no skating rink here. This one was closed down. The other one was closed down. And so I just kind of did something else, a couple things for a while, and, for several years until this one opened back up. And that old man and his wife bought it, and I started coming back and started getting the itch. And so, yeah, that's kind of like, there was like a 10-year period there
Oh,
where
wow.
if I wanted to skate, I had to go to Dallas or Fort Worth or
And that you weren't operating a rink.
weren't operating a rink. Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked in the oil field. I had a carpet cleaning business. I did that. I did a lot of things to kind of stay busy and do that before I was able to get in the business. So yeah, but I was still had that passion for skating.
Right.
I would go to Fort Worth and skate, Dallas, wherever I could. They had a little skate rink, about 60 miles down the road. I would go down there and skate a little bit and just kept my passion alive. And I said, once when we came and we moved here and he had that rink, and after I, saw those guys when I was 16 years old, I said, man, this is what I want to do. One
Mm.
of these days, I want to have my own skating rink. And that was when I was 16. And finally, when I was 38, that's when we got it. So
So
had a lot of stuff to go through to get there.
yeah, and the one thing I just want to ask about the first rink experience and the management was because you had mentioned about these guys, like they kind of sunk their life savings into this. What was that a lot of pressure on you? Like, did you kind of
Absolutely.
feel like this like, oh my God, like because here's this 21-year-old kid moves across the country, and now you're kind of like taking this thing on, and do you know what's at stake for them at the time, or no? Or
Absolutely not. I
okay,
was a very naive 21, 22-year old.
right,
I didn't know nothing. I was very, all I thought about was the world revolved around roller skating.
yeah,
Literally, that's all I thought. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So, and it came quick to me that it didn't. When I first started managing, and then what to do when we were at the skating rink, things like that. What's my life? What is it? What is it out of going to the skating rink? So it took me a long time. I was very immature. It took me a long time to figure out stuff. Especially I got married, had a child. I was not ready for that. I'll be the first one to admit that, and it just took a long time for me to grow up
Well,
and to figure
yeah.
things out.
Well, and look, I mean, a lot of it is the fact that we just have to experience these
Right.
things. I mean, you don't know till you don't know. The other thing I was thinking about though too is, so you, because I kind of like look at it like that. I think that like because you had mentioned about you got into this thing and you kind of were learning as you go kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? But in the beginning, like right at the beginning, your mindset is, or like just prior to it happening, your mindset is like, look, I can do this. I skate. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But and although we can look back now and we can say, okay, that there was a lot of ignorance there, I think that that's super valuable, especially as a young person, because like the older I get, when I was younger, I like in my 20s and stuff, I never really, I would get an idea and I would run with it because I didn't know what I didn't know,
Right.
right? And honestly, like doing this thing here, like the whole Skate Like You thing, the site, the podcast, all that kind of stuff, like it was the first time that like in a long time, because life had kind of, life takes its toll and kind of, you learn some lessons and whatever. And it was like would have these kind of like ideas about things to do, right? Or what I wanted to do. But then I would be like, oh yeah, but there's this and there's that. And you just see all these obstacles. And then this was like the first time since I was really young that like I went into this being like, oh yeah, I can do that with that same kind of like enthusiastic ignorance, right? Because I didn't know what I didn't know, which it basically made me like optimistically delusional,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in the best way, because at the end of the day, no matter what it is, you just got to get up and do it. You
Right.
have to get up and do it.
Right.
And so I'm so grateful for that. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. When I think sometimes we can be smart for too smart for our own good.
Yep.
Like, and then we have people tell, oh yeah, but it's going to be this and it's going to be that and da da da, all this stuff. If I would have known that my schedule would be like it is now, 4 months, 5 months ago, maybe I would have veered away. I'm so glad I didn't though, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't have it any other way. Does that
Well,
make
yeah.
sense?
That's the same. Absolutely. Because when I first moved here and started doing that, I didn't know anything about the skating rink business. I
Yeah.
knew about skating. I knew about shuffling. I knew about, what kind of music to play and
Right.
stuff like that, but I didn't know anything about the business. So
Mm.
for that couple of years, I really learned a lot about the business, about taxes, about property taxes, about things like that. I learned a lot and opened up my eyes to the world of owning a business that I didn't own, but I worked for the guy that owned, and it just was a couple years, but I retained a lot of that knowledge for just in case one of these days I ever had a chance to get my own skating rink, you know.
Right.
And I would always, no matter where I went to skate, I'd ask 100 questions to anybody
Mm.
that would answer them at the skating rink. Whether it was a manager, a floor guard, a snack bar person, anybody, I would ask just a bunch of questions. Well, why are you
Mm.
doing this? And it took me a while to figure a lot of that out when I was the manager at that rink. And I'm, we didn't have to advertise. We were the only thing in town for people,
Right. Right.
us in a bowling alley,
Yeah.
so either people came skating. So, and we brought the music from Florida, what I brought, because, Florida's always the first one to get the good music because that's where everybody was, recording. And I did a TV show with Casey and the Sunshine Band down there in
Oh
Florida
wow.
before I moved here. Yeah, because he loved to roller skate, Casey. So I brought a lot of that music, the hip hop and the 12-inch singles when they first started coming out. Brought it, so we had some really good music that these people in Texas never heard before, and they loved it.
Mm.
Disco music, things like that. So, but it was a shock, man. I had to learn on the run. I learned a lot, and then it just kind of came to an end. It was
Right.
crazy how that worked, but yeah,
So you for whatever reason that you guys part ways and you have essentially like a decade, right, where you're still skating whenever you get the chance, but
yeah,
you're just doing other things. And, you know, it's funny too, because, you know, obviously the longer we live, you know, like 10 years isn't a long time, but it is a long time kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know? So like 10 years later, the, what happens that this opportunity, you know, comes back around to you?
Mhm. So, um, it was always still my dream of owning a skating rink. So I was divorced and remarried, and this skating rink was open, and that family, older couple, was running it. So I would bring my kids here. I would skate with them, and I was just going, man, one of these days, I want to have this skating rink. And I knew it wouldn't be a long time how old those people were. They were 82 and 83. And Mr. Baker had Parkinson's disease. So he kind of shook real bad and did all that. And I would help him to do whatever he needed just because that's what I would do. You know, hey,
Yeah.
Mr. Baker, can you do anything for you or anything like that? And man, I got remarried to my wife now. We've been married almost 29 years, and we we just I told her, I said, man, we got to do this sometime.
Hmm.
And they the I was coming all the time, and one day Mr. Baker goes, hey man, you want to buy this?
Mm.
I said, whoa. Yeah. I
So
said,
there was never any previous discussion
no,
about. Wow.
no, no. I mean, I wanted to
Right.
owning a rink somewhere, and because Mr. Baker knew I loved it, and we, the family I moved here with, bought that other rink from him. You know, back 20 years before that. So, so he knew of me and knew I came and knew how much I loved it, and things just didn't work out between me and Mr. Davis and all that. So he just asked me one day, and um, what was crazy, we just talked about it one day, and not one day. We talked about it quite often, and we would come up here, my wife and I, and every Friday night just kind of see what was going on. Man, they were packed all the time. And here's this 82-year-old and 83-year-old running the skating rink with these crazy kids. He had Parkinson's, so he had all these signs on the wall, and he hand wrote them, and they were all shaky because he had.
Oh,
But and I felt bad for him.
yeah.
That opportunity, we talked about it for quite a while, and then we had to reach in and grab all of our savings to make a down payment, and then he would finance the rink for us.
Wow.
We paid a lot of money for it back then, but he told us, he says, I'll finance, because he was just ready to get rid of it.
Right.
So we gave him a big down payment, and then we made monthly payments to him until a few years later, and we ended up going to the bank and borrowing the money to pay him off, and we paid it. We paid through the bank, but it was a long process. Um, man, when I first started here owning the rink, Mark, I was up here every day for 5 years, literally every single day. I mean, this was it because we had so much to do as far as fix and remodel and do it the way I wanted to.
Right.
Said whenever I had a rink, I know what kind of music we need to play. I know I want a good light system. I want a good floor, and it's going to be clean.
Yeah.
So in our skating rink now, you can eat off the floors. We
I
keep
hear that. That's what
our,
I hear.
we
So,
keep
I
our
mean,
spotless.
you, yeah, but you walked in there and you had a vision. You
Oh,
had
I
a
have,
vision for what that place
oh yeah.
needed to be.
Mhm.
And it was just like, you're like me in the sense where I get an idea in my head and I don't rest until it's done, you know?
That's me today still,
Yeah.
and and that goes for any rink owner. We don't sleep. You know what we do? We think about our business. It's
Yeah.
the craziest thing ever. And I do a Zoom call every Wednesday with all the rink owners around the states. We part of the RSA.
Yep.
We have a Zoom meeting every Wednesday, and man, you know how much stuff I've learned from Zoom meetings, from learning that and going to all the skate conventions they have every year. You learn so much. I learned about pizza, making pizza, getting my own pizza ovens instead of going to Domino's and making pizza. But
Right.
and everybody in the industry, and I'm kind of fast forwarding, everybody in the industry kind of take care of each other. You
Well,
know,
yeah, and
it's
it's like thousands of years of experience.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean? It's invaluable, I would
yes.
say. Wow.
It is. It's crazy, and everybody in the industry is willing to lend a hand. I mean, one of my biggest deals was Jeff Cooey, and Jeff Cooey used to speed skate back when I speed skated and play hockey down in Florida. He would come up from Georgia, and so I've known him for over 40 years, and I used to see and hear about his rinks in Georgia all the time, and his family had owned all these rinks. So I started going to conventions. I just started listening to all these ideas every year. My wife went the first time with us, and all I wanted to do was sit and listen
Hmm.
and gather all this information and come back to my rink and say, this is what we're going to start doing because this is what I've learned. And it was all new to me, and I knew what I wanted, but then I knew how to refine it. Birthday parties, uh, you know, PTA school skate nights, snack bar, all this kind of stuff. So I learned and just retained that information. And now I'm one of the people to go and I help people when they call me with,
Yeah.
you know,
So the one of the things I hear, and you can shed light on this, is that like every once in a while, like, someone will talk about like you'll just be skating with friends or whatever, and someone will be like, "Oh yeah, this place over here, like I heard they're trying to sell," like, and someone will be like, "Oh, you should buy that," or someone else will say to somebody else, "Oh, you should look into buying that." And one of the most common things I hear among skaters about this is they always say something to the effect of like, "Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I think it would kill my passion for skating, or like it would just, And I know too many people that have gone and they went and owned a rink, and then it just was that's all it was to them anymore, and skating was never the same to them, and all that kind of stuff. And look, I mean, maybe that's true for some people, and if it is, it doesn't seem like it's that way for you at all. You seem just as passionate as you were at 21 or 16 or whatever it is.
yeah.
Why do you think that is? What is it about this whole thing that you love so much?
I go back to the first time I saw those two guys skate.
Yeah.
I was just in awe. I loved it. And then when I started getting into it and I was going, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Matter of fact, I'm real good at this.
Right.
That was just what I love to do. I mean, like I said, when I was still in high school playing basketball, those guys would go off and do their thing, and I would go to the skating rink, and I got ragged about it all the time. Believe me. You go
Yep.
to the skating rink? Yeah, yeah. So just, I think my passion and wanting to learn and wanting to be a good skater is what started me doing it, and that kind of carried on to me as a rink owner. Um, I had to learn a lot when we first got this rink. I mean, there was a lot to learn. I mean, I knew some from the business before, so I brought a
Right.
lot of knowledge with me. But it's a whole different deal when it's yours,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and this is what this is what you're going to do. So that's why I spent so much time in here the first 5 years I got it. But I still have the passion today. I've always had the passion, and I've had in the last several months, I've had offers to sell this place because
Mm.
people, we're in the shopping center and they want to knock it all down and build something else. And I go,
Oh.
I got offered pretty good. And I said, no. I said, I love what I do. Until
Mm.
I do it anymore, this is what I'm going to do. And
Mm.
we building and we own our property, and it's in the shopping center, and it's right behind a Dairy Queen and a Taco Bueno. And we're on one of the biggest intersections in town. So until I'm ready to, and I don't know if you know, I officiated basketball for 35 years, high school and college basketball.
So
So,
I saw pictures of it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I did that, and I was very passionate about that too. I loved it. And one day 4 years ago, we were doing a playoff game up in Lubbock, which is about 3 hours away. And I walked into the dressing room after that last game, and I said, "Boys, this is it. I'm done." I just knew it was time to retire, and I miss it and I love it, and I loved it like with a passion, like I do skating. But it was time for me to stop. But I still go to games. I still help evaluate refs, put my knowledge out there if they want it. And kind of same with the skating business. I can't tell me how many times I was on the phone with Luther Bernstein, who owns the rink Interskate in Dallas, and has been around the skating business for probably 60 or 70 years. He makes his own skates. He's been around the business forever. I used to call him and just, hey, Luther, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
And I had so many people that I could call and ask questions, and they wouldn't mind. So now I have people calling me and go,
Right.
what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'll tell them exactly what I did, what worked for me or what didn't work for me. And
Yeah.
so my passion's always been there
Yeah.
and still is
Yeah.
to the
And
day.
it must be because, so like what I do want to get into, I want to talk about is, because this is going to be the third year for
Yeah.
the event at Abilene. So,
Yes.
okay. So like, yeah, the passion is clearly still there because 3 years ago, you're
Yeah.
ready to like,
Yeah.
just do another thing, you know what I mean, that takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of enthusiasm, and start bringing and having an event at your rink and doing everything you can to get people that do like these, that do go to these events out there. So now you said, was it a USA Shuffle event that you went to that kind of inspired
Yeah.
this idea?
Yeah. So a funny story is, when I found out on Facebook that they were having this shuffle event in Atlanta, it was Jeff's first event, Jeff and Ava Cooey. I said, I told my wife, I said, I got to go to this. This is going to be the skaters that I enjoy, the things I love to do. So I went to the first event. I flew on a Friday, skated all Friday night, didn't know anybody. I knew Jeff and Ava from meeting them at the conventions. There was a couple other rink owners there, but that's all I knew. So I just be out there skating. So the next morning, I go over to Waffle House, and I'm sitting in Waffle House just eating breakfast, and sitting right behind me are these people talking about skating. And I just turn around and I go, "Hey, I'm a skater. I have a rink in Texas." So I talked to them, and it was Michelle.
Okay.
It was Michelle. That's how I met Michelle,
No kidding.
and her little group that was there. So we sat there and talked for an hour. I'm sitting back to him like this and just talking to him, and it was so cool. So, and I got to meet up with her and some of her people that she was with that night. This was on a Saturday night, and got to talk to other people at the rink because I was hanging around with Michelle, and that's how it started. So
Mm.
that was October, and they had another one in March. I went in
Mm-hmm.
March and got to meet some more people. I met some more people from Florida. Got to meet Nick, Daniel, Joe. Hung out with them. We all stayed in the same hotel right there down from the rink in Georgia, and started meeting some more people, and started talking to Michelle. All the time here and there. And then I met Jen, and then I met Rachel, and then I met several other people who are people who go to all these events.
Mm-hmm.
And went back again in March and went back again in October. And I got to talking to Michelle. We actually went on a Saturday afternoon to skate over at Cascade
Okay. Yep. Yep.
while we were there on the afternoon session because a lot of people had never been. So I went over there and we were skating at Cascade. There was probably about 20 of us or so. And we were just standing there, and I said to Michelle, I said, "Man, what do you think about me having one of these at my rink?" She goes, "That'd be really cool. So that put my brain to work. And I started thinking, how could I get people to come out here to do that? So I actually got Michelle to help me, and Jay helped me, and whoever else, Jen, whatever. And we started kind of planning for the next year in October.
Mm.
No, no, it was, yeah, for the next year, we didn't know when to do it because they have that one in March and that one in
Right.
October. So I said, well, what about January?
Yeah.
We planned for a year, and we started, and Michelle helped me so much. And we would start Facebook advertising. And then in October, I asked Jeff if he would let me announce that we're having the shuffle skate in Abilene in January. And he said, sure. And I got DJ Mayhem on board because he was really good friends with Michelle. And he said, I'd love to come DJ, whatever. So our first one was 3 years ago, January. Man, I just wanted to make it perfect for everybody because they had to travel a long way to get here. They can't, the people who go to Atlanta and skate, they drive up from Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio. They can all drive there. Well, hardly anybody could drive here. They had to fly here. So I just said, and it was hard the first time because we were trying to advertise it and people were going, why would I go to Abilene, Texas? Is that like Dallas? I said, no, Dallas is like 3 hours away, two and a half hours away. I said, we're a very small city. We have no shuffle skaters here, but I want you to come to my event. So the first year we had like 65 people and we did it Friday night and Saturday night. And I just tried to take care of everybody, to do what I could to have a nice event. Mayhem came out. I talked so much with them prior to getting it started to figure out what can we do to put on a good event. And we had no clue about if we were going to have 10 people or 500.
Right. Yeah.
No idea. Because I knew everybody had to fly out here, pretty much fly. So a couple people drove, but we pretty much knew everybody had to fly out here. So we had 65 people. We did a little lunch on Friday. There was a lot. Michelle and several others flew in on Thursday, and I took them all to lunch on Friday, and we just kind of did it. And it was our first time, and I was just like going through it, figuring out what to do. And I wanted to make sure we had a nice facility. I wanted to make sure all my staff was in on it, which they were. They were fantastic. I said, anything anybody needs, make sure we help them. And I was very hospitable to them. And they really enjoyed that because they said, we've been to a lot of shuffle skates and the owners never hospitable like you are. Like, I would do anything they asked or needed. I would try to do whatever I could, to help. And for the 65 people that were here, OG Smooth was here the first one. We got Rydell to donate a pair of skates to give away. I gave everybody tickets, and OG Smooth won the free pair of skates.
Yeah.
But the first people that came were so supportive. Hey, man, you got a great place here. You got a nice rink. Yeah, we're not $1 million skating rink. We're not a $2 million skating rink, but we got a nice rink because I work on that. I want to make sure it's a nice rink. And everybody had a great time. By the next year 2, we were putting out a lot earlier that we were going to have another shuffle event, number 2. I had so many more Facebook posts going, oh, I heard it was great last time.
Right.
I'm coming. And then when I went to Atlanta back in March, and they announced it in October again, and they announced it. And last year we had like 165.
There you go.
So, and everybody's had a blast. And I try to do a few more things a little bit different. Michelle and them came in and Jen and them came in on Thursday. I took them to lunch on Friday. We came up here and helped set up Mayhem stuff. Friday night we had a great turnout. And then we had a new venue that was built here called Potosi Live. It's on the outskirts of town, about 10 miles away. It is the most unbelievable restaurant, bar, facility that hosts concerts and things like that. So I know the owner and I knew the manager real well. And I had literally talked to him April before the January we were coming. I said, hey, man, this is what I want to do. I don't know how many people is going to come, but I want to have lunch out here for them. It's a 2-story, and the whole top deck overlooks the bottom deck. Wow. And they have a stage for people. It's just the most top-of-the-line, beautiful facility ever. So I got with them. We got a lunch menu made. And I told everybody, hey, we're going to do this lunch thing on Saturday because we didn't do anything the first year. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how it went.
Right.
We didn't really do anything when we were in Atlanta. We just kind of were on our own. I said, well, I want to do something to get everybody together. So I went and talked to the guys, and we got a good menu fixed up, and I put it out. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we're going to go do this lunch. And before that, I thought, what about if we have some of our shuffle skaters come help our local people and teach them how to skate?
Yeah.
So we had planned on doing these lessons Saturday morning from 10:30 to 12:30, and then we're going to go to lunch. So we advertised this for months. I said, we have the best shuffle skaters in the world coming here. And we didn't know how many were coming, but we had a great turnout. And we ended up having about 50 kids and adults coming for that skate. And I bet you I had 75 shuffle skaters show up. I didn't ask
Mm.
anybody to come. I knew
Mm.
Michelle was going to come. I knew Jim was going to come. I knew Rachel was going to come. I knew Nick, Dan, and all of them were going to come. So if we had 5 or 6 people, fine. I bet we had 75 people show up at 10:30 in the morning to help all these people. And Jen grabbed the microphone out of my hand and just took charge. And we took that cordless mic, and she's telling everybody what to do, and everybody's listening. And all of us were out there skating. Got a person. Some of them had 2. And it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
People that came to help teach, they had the coolest time ever. They
Right. Right.
never done this before. This was amazing. And all the kids just loved it. And we
Huh.
had teenagers and we had some adults actually come to learn. And everybody just totally loved it and couldn't stop talking about it. So then we went to our lunch out of Potosi Live. We had like chicken fried steak, a whole buffet set up, salad, the whole 9 yards. I didn't pay for that. Everybody had to pay for their own. It was going to be $30, but that included lunch, tea, drinks. If they wanted beer, or wine, or anything, they had to purchase their own. We had 85 people show up for lunch.
Wow.
The whole upper deck covered. And of course, Rolling Randy, goes
Yeah.
out to the truck, gets his skates. There's other people in the restaurant on the bottom floor, and he just starts skating around.
Yeah.
Well, Lacey and a couple other people who get their skates, and they get up on stage and start skating.
I've seen these videos.
It's the funniest thing. And those people didn't mind. And I go to the owner, hey man, I'm sorry. He goes, no, dude, people are loving this. They are loving it. So we stayed a couple hours out there. Everybody went around, came back Saturday night. We had another great time Saturday night, and everybody had a blast. So, and everybody kind of left on Sunday.
So we've got it coming up again in January.
Right.
And what is there anything different this year? Or are you looking to do the kind of the same thing? What do you want to say about the one that's coming up?
So the one coming up is pretty much going to be the same.
Okay.
I booked Potosi Live again for lunch because
All
everybody
right.
loved it so much. We're doing the skate lessons again, of course. And then I am actually working on now because we're doing something different. Was last year, I knew several people were coming in on Thursday, so we weren't really open Thursday. So I said, well, for all you people that are coming in, I'll just open up on Thursday. Come over, let Mayhem set up his stuff. I had Mooyah Burgers, which is a great burger. A good friend of mine owns it. He brought burgers over for everybody. And we just kind of skated for a couple hours. Everybody kind of came in. There was about 50 people here maybe that came in on Thursday. And we did that for a couple hours on Thursday night. So now we're doing that meet and greet. We're calling it a meet and greet on Thursday night. Same thing. Mooyah Burgers is going to bring over hamburgers for everybody. We're going to have a 2-hour meet and greet. No charge. This is a freebie.
Wow.
Because Mooyah, he'll donate his stuff to me because I use him and he gets a lot of publicity out of it. And it's kind of like, hey, let's come say hi, just meet, greet, get people. We had the Chamber of Commerce come last year. They took pictures. We had this big chamber thing that everybody was taking. We rolled around the floor, Abilene thing, and everybody was taking pictures with it. So we'll have that again this year on Thursday. We'll have them come, and that's a kind of big thing for us, to
Yeah.
get the chamber. And So we'll do that Thursday night. And now I'm working on something to do Friday afternoon before skating. So I'm kind of still working on that, trying to figure out something we can, whoever comes in on Thursday, we can do Friday afternoon. A lot of people don't come in till Friday. So,
Right.
but for the people who come, we're trying to figure out something to do. And we got the lessons on Saturday and the Potosi Live for lunch on Saturday, the same. And, man, it's an exciting time because we're out in the middle of nowhere out in Abilene. We have a big Air Force base here. There's a 125, 130,000 people here, and people around town. Like, we get it put up on the marquee downtown at the old movie theater. Welcome,
Hmm.
welcome skaters, whatever. And I show that to everybody, and it's a big deal to our community. To know that we have people coming from all over the United States to come skate in little old Abilene.
Well, I got to tell you that, I mean, the thing that it's just like this constant theme of anytime that someone brings up Abilene to me, in this event, or brings up you, and if, from anyone, from Michelle to, Jen to anyone, that has had the experience with you out there.
Don,
There, there's a yeah, but the constant thing that they always say is you got to come check this out. Jeff, the thing that they always say is Jeff, like, he really cares about the skaters. Like, the skaters are so taken care of. Even Jen was saying, like, this one hotel that they go to,
yeah,
like, where they don't feel like, because Jen's like, sometimes you go and, like, we kind of all, infiltrate this one
yeah,
area, and
right,
a lot of times, depending on where they are, the people are like, oh God, what's this? What's this? But she's like, she's like, to the point where it was just noticeably different when we went to Abilene, to this place we went to, how embraced we were.
right.
And so, I can't wait for it in January. It's gonna be my first time going. I keep hearing so much about it.
Yeah,
I mean, this conversation alone fires me up even more.
yeah.
But yeah, you know, with the goal of being able to have a successful event and wanting to make this happen, uh, at least as far as the impact that you make on skaters, it seems to me that you've far exceeded that goal, at least in the minds of people that really enjoy coming out there and being there.
Well,
So
I know it's really hard for people to travel here, and
yeah.
it's expensive. Now, a lot of people fly into Dallas, which is
Hmm.
pretty cheap to fly, and then they rent a car and drive here. Some people fly right into Abilene, like Michelle and Jen. Most of them fly into Abilene, but you can fly into Dallas for pretty cheap, and then rent a car for 3 days or whatever, and then take it back to Dallas when you get on the plane back. So I've always wanted to make it about them. This is about them
Hmm.
because they're sacrificing their money and their time to come all the way out here. I mean, uh, Lacey, Juicy, and some of them flew into Dallas on Thursday last year. Randy and skated in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then came over Friday, which is pretty cool because there's so many rinks in the
Hmm.
Dallas Fort Worth area, and there's an adult night somewhere on Thursday night. So
Right.
they all did that. When they come all the way here, dude, it's about them. It's about them making sure they're taken care of because we've made money in the skating ring business. We're not getting rich. Um, it's about them. I'm
Hmm.
not in it to make money. I'm in it because people are sacrificing to come out here.
Hmm.
Uh, I remember one incident the first year. I was out skating and I came over to the side and Rachel's sitting over there with her skate on, Rachel Mills. And I walked up and I said, "Are you okay?" And she had a big old blister. And sure enough, I came up here to get a blister pad for her, and there was none. So I just took her a new pair of socks. I said, "I don't have any blister pads, but here's an extra pair of socks you might need." Didn't charge her. Just say, "Hey, just here though." And she just thought that was the nicest thing in the world. And I go, "Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here
Hmm.
to take care of these people who traveled all this way, and anything I could do to make their stay." Um, the hotel Jen was talking about, I talk to them all the time. I said, these people are traveling a long way. And this is an older hotel, but they
Hmm.
have bigger rooms, but they serve breakfast cocktails before dinner.
Mm.
Gigantic. It's big, and they have an indoor pool, and everybody just loved it because they were very accommodating. One thing I noticed about Texans is we're pretty accommodating.
Yeah.
We're, we're pretty nice people. I mean, not when I say everybody, but I've learned that about being here. Is I'm 66 years old and I still say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Right.
Teenagers to anybody that comes here or anything like that. That's just what I do and what a
Yeah.
lot of people around here do. And to me, it's all about them
Yeah.
because this is their night. They've forfeited to come out here, and I do what I can to make sure they have a good time, and
Yeah.
that's why I think they appreciate that. So
Yeah, they definitely do. It does not go unnoticed. It is spoken about just as enthusiastically as you speak about it. I mean, like there are no, I maybe one other thing, like one other event that like when I talk to skaters, but I don't even think to the degree that like the people that I've spoken to that talk about Abilene, like it's like no, you have to go to Abilene,
yeah,
right? Like no, these are good. This is good. No, you have to. No, Mark, I'm telling you, Mark, you don't understand. You have to go. Like this is very kind of like there's an effort to like get me to like understand, and so yeah, I mean like it's definitely it's more than kind of making a wave, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
which is great. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the people that get to go. I'm happy for myself that gets to go experience it too. I mean, it's just another thing that and I'm just stoked because I'd love to come out there and just I want to see this place. I've heard so much about it. I want to do like a rink tours episode about it. I want to, I just want to experience as much as I can while I'm there.
All right.
So I'm now tell everybody what are the dates in
Okay.
January?
January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The 23rd is actually obviously on Thursday, so that's when we'll do the meet and greet. Um, and we had the first year we had 65, we had 165 last year or so, and it's a great little town, Abilene. It's a very, very family oriented town. We have a gazillion churches here. We have Dyess Air Force Base where the B 1 bomber is,
Mm.
literally a mile from the skating rink,
Oh wow.
the Air
Okay.
Force Base. Um, and this is a great town, a family town. So when people who come here go out, I think the first year we had it, they all went downtown and skated downtown and absolutely had a blast while we were open Saturday afternoon.
Mm.
Just you could skate down the streets of downtown. It's like an old Abilene town. Some shops down there and stuff. So they all went down there. Um, and that's probably what we'll do again Friday maybe or something like it, depending on the weather. Last year it was really cold here
I
for
did
our
hear
skate. It was like
that.
30 and 40 degrees, we had a really cold January last year.
Wow.
And I know Jen was saying something about it on her podcast. I told everybody bring a jacket. For some reason it's normally in the 50s or 60s. And I
Right.
think Saturday got up to the 60s or 70s actually. But it was really cold, so we had to find something to do. But everybody around town here, um, everybody knows everybody in this town, so they know it's an event. And when I take people to Betty Rose's to eat lunch, they all know, hey, Jeff's here with his gang,
Right.
and let's take care of them. Or when they go to somewhere else, and people are telling me, hey, I went to this restaurant, I went to that restaurant. Man, they were so nice, And I said, well, that's Texas hospitality, you
Mm.
know. And you'll get it a lot here and a lot around the state of Texas. Not everybody's perfect, not everybody's accommodating, but that's just me. I go out of my way to make sure everybody has a good time because I appreciate so much them coming here. So, yeah.
And I would think too that there's probably a lot of gratitude for the people in Abilene though too. I mean, like these other businesses that you involve. I mean, you like
Yes.
look. I mean, even though it's in the skate community, the fact is that you're putting a spotlight on Abilene, and who
Yeah.
knows what it could become over time.
Right.
How big this thing could be. So I mean, not only is this something that you do for for skaters and the culture, it's something that you do for where you live and where you prosper and where you do business. I
Right.
mean, it's all around excellent. I mean, I can't see a downside to any of this. So we're actually coming up on time here. But is there anything that anything else you wanted to throw out there? Anything you wanted to say about the event, or just anything at all?
We would just love people to come, even if it's their first time, because I promise you they're going to have a good time. Um, we have so much chatter, and all the people that I've met. Now that I got to meet you, and met Ray, and met all these other people who go from other cities to skate, from Chicago, from Tennessee, from Ohio. I've met a lot of people. Um, and you know what? Their passion is the same as mine. They
Yeah.
love to skate, you know, and that's what I love to do. And I love to treat people the right way.
Mm.
So anybody who wants to come, I promise you, you're not going to have a bad time. And
Right.
I'm going to make sure you have a good time. I know it costs a little bit with what's going on in our world right now. I know that's tough, and I don't know how many we're going to have, and I don't care because we're having it anyway. I just
Right.
want people to come, have a good time, come to Texas to see how we do things out here. We're not a big skate community like it is in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, and Florida, and all that. We don't have all these rinks. The closest ones are in Dallas and Fort Worth that are 2.5, 3 hours away. They have a big skate community up there because there's so many rinks, and down in Austin too, in San Antonio. So we just want people to come and go out of their comfort zone a little bit and pay the money and come out. And I promise you, and that's why we're doing our Thursday for free,
Mm.
because they're having to pay. This is just a little token of our appreciation for them coming out.
Mm.
And our friends over at Mooyah Burgers who help promote, and all the other businesses in town that help us promote to be able to bring. We're filling hotel rooms, and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, dude. The skate family is one of the most amazing things, and I talk about that to other rink owners all the time. About, you wouldn't believe the amount of people who will do anything for you, no matter what, because we're all for the same thing, and
Yeah.
and I've heard you talk about this on your podcast before. There's always going to be some negative people, but I try to make it to where I'm always positive. You're going to
Yeah.
be negative sometimes, you just can't do anything about it. So just do what you can.
Yeah, well, here's what I will say, Jeff, is that I know that you mentioned you don't have the big skate community that maybe some of these other areas do and stuff around the country, but I can tell you this, that big enthusiasm, big passion seems to make it work, and I mean you've built something in a place where probably a lot of people said it wouldn't be possible,
Right,
and make this happen. So at the end of the day, what you have out there is what counts,
right.
and I mean, you build it and they come, right? I mean, so much respect to you. I
Thank you.
I applaud your effort. I think it's much needed. And I'm looking forward to being a part of it, even if it's just once a year,
Yeah.
in any
Well,
way I can.
and I really appreciate you doing this. This is something I've thought of forever, man. If we get you somebody to talk on the radio or on TV about skating, and boom, here you are. And it's been great. I mean, what you're doing is great. I appreciate all the people who post on Facebook and TikTok about the skating community, because it's doing well. The adult skating thing that has come back since COVID. One thing I wanted to tell you, and I forgot. So we were only closed for 3 months during COVID
Oh, okay.
because our governor got us back to work.
Right.
So we advertised doing a sip and skate the first night we could open. It was on a Thursday night. We had 650 people.
They
And
were dying to get out
they were
there.
dying to get out. We let them bring it. You couldn't serve alcohol because
Right.
they didn't let it yet. But we let them bring in beer and wine only, and we check. We have one coming up Thursday night, our adult night, sip and skate we call it, and we make sure and check everybody's coolers. We had 650 people show up, Mark.
Woo!
One of them came in here. I said, we don't have any more skates. We don't care. We just want to come in, have a couple of sips. We had people sitting on the sides all the way down the rink, just had the best time because they wanted to get out.
Yeah, just dying for some human connections.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's what we kind of built on. And all the skates I've been to Jeff Nava's rink and their brother's rink, and meeting all the people has just been one of the best things in my life. It really has.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for doing this. I've been stoked. I've been really excited to talk to you and hear more about this. I am really looking forward to seeing you in January. Yeah, and that's about it. That's all I have. But thank you very, very much.
I appreciate you, and you just keep doing what you're doing because it's a big thing for the community, and I really appreciate you. So,
well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
good. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.